All right, we're back. We are Game 3001 in the summer 2019 semester at George Brown, and we're week 2, part 1 of our broadcast. We're going to create a target object, and then at the end, I'm going to give you a little challenge, which is going to include your lab this time around, lab 1, which is going to make an object, you're going to create another object, and you're going to make your other object seek your target, but in a very basic way, like literally just moving it on top of the other one, right? Which you're going to see in a bit. So first, I want to create an object, and I'm going to use the code base I used last week. So we were working with the code base last week where it was, and I'm going to go to, so I have 2 of these. I do apologize, but I want to have one for you guys and one for them. So week 1 has this one. I'm going to pull up my Visual Studio. Now remember last week what I did was I introduced another template, template V2, and what we had last week, I like this, error, results, error. What we had last week was something that looked like my Hello World program, which is going to show up in a second, hopefully, right, with my little ship, and if I crash, right, that's what we had last week. We created this using my code base that I've provided. What I want you guys to do this week is I want you to crack this open. So please pull up the stuff we worked on last week, right? Take care. So pull up your code base from last week, please. You should already have it open. No? You don't? All right. I also, for those people who anyone missed last week? No, none of you guys are all here. All right, so last week I also put it up on GitHub, and if you look at, there is a GitHub repo called George Brown College, right? I'm going to put our work today up on there. We're going to call it Lesson 2, but notice that Game 3001, Summer 2019 Lesson 1 was up last week. You can actually go there. This link, I've actually posted this link on week 1 in the week 1 folder. You can go there, and if you download it, if you go there and, sorry, just zoom out. If you go there and click download, right, then you should be able to download the zip file that has my folders that I worked on last week. Now, the one thing that this does not include is it doesn't include the DLL files, which you can get from the zip file that I put up online last week, and you can kind of create a monster project, right, by basically pulling one into the other. Or if you don't have this, and you want to start with the one we used last week, the template, we're going to make a new object anyway, right? So, so the first thing we want to do is we want to get a project going. So now, do all of you have a project open? Anyone not have a project open? Okay, good. So we have a project open, and again, we have this stuff. What I want to do initially is clean the project up, right? Because what I want to do with the initial project is get rid of all the basic game objects that are there, okay? So one of the questions I had earlier today was, okay, in my main.cpp, right, here's my main.cpp, and if you scroll down, there's an area here where it opens up my window. So I have the game instance, I initialize my window, I call it, that's the name of the window is Hello World. We can change this. It starts at X and Y, 100, 100, and the window size is 640 by 480, and this false is if it's maximized or not, if it's full screen. So if I change this to true, right, hopefully it won't crash, like last time this morning. I know what not to do. How about that? If I press run, what it'll do is it'll maximize my screen and take up the entire screen like this, right? And the only way I'll be able to come out of it is if I literally go here and stop it from running, right? So it takes up my whole screen. So that's what this does. It's full screen mode, true or false, okay? The way I got out of it, I had to press Alt-Tab and go back to my files and just click on the X. There's other ways to get out of it too. You can press Shift, Control, Escape. That brings up the your task manager. If I press Control, Shift, Escape, task manager can come up, and anything that's running, you can kill, right? It's a quick way of bringing it up, okay? So that's one way of killing it. Now, that's not a great way. We're exiting ruthlessly, not nicely. And the reason for this, which we're going to go over another time, is that in my game.h, in my game.cpp, let me take a look at that. I set up conditions where I'm listening for input. So here's my game.cpp. And if you scroll all the way down, you can see that there is an input handler right here, handle events function, very simple. And all it listens for is this SDL quit event, right? And of course, mouse motion, so I can move my object left and right. If you want to escape another way, like press the escape key, you have to create the event here, which we're going to do another day when I talk about keyboard events, okay? All right, but however, what I want to do right now is I do not want to render my island, my player, my ocean, or my clouds, or my ship. I want to take everything away from my screen, okay? So I want to clear my screen, that's the first step, and then I want to place a target in the middle of my screen. That's what I want to do. I've also under, we're going to go over this later, but I've put one of the assets I'm going to be using in on Blackboard under the week 2 assets folder, which we're going to go into later, okay? But for now, what I want to do is I want to comment all this out. And again, there's some simple comment ways of doing it. If I comment out the selection, I can do this, which comments it out. Okay, that's a little shortcut. I can uncomment it this way, right? So I've commented this all out, but be careful. You can't stop here. And I did that earlier and totally crashed my system. Why? Because if you look further down, so again, I'm in the game CPP file. I'm in the create game objects function, right? And I've commented everything out. I'm not going to include these game objects right now. And if I scroll down, the next step I have to make is I'm going to scroll all the way down until I get to the render function. And again, what I want to do is I want to highlight all these inner parts from line around 96 to 104 and click that button again, comment, right? Which comments all that stuff out. Okay, one more step. In the update function, same thing. Everything has to be commented out. So again, there's 3 places. Let me go up to the top again. The first place you comment everything out is create game objects. Comment pretty much everything out. Next place, if you look down, where I made modifications, is in the render function. Notice I kept line 94 and I kept 106 because this is render clear and this is render present. Okay, so those 2 things have to be our bookends for what we're going to kind of do in the middle, right? We clear the surface, we present everything, we actually draw everything to the surface, and then we present it. That's what we're doing, right? So we need those 2 function calls right there anyway. As we go down, we need to get rid of all the stuff in update. That's what we did in the update function. And why? Because I don't have any objects to update anymore. They're not being updated. I don't create them, therefore I don't want to update them. Okay? So if you follow what I did, and if I click on this play button, I'll rebuild, and what I'll get is this, right? You should get this too. All right, notice I have to get out of it by, again, going back to here and clicking this. If I don't want to do that, I can go back to my main.cpp, and I'm going to do this now. And I'm going to change my size of my window to 800 by 400, 800 by 600, 800 by 600, let's say. And I'm going to change the true to false so I can have a windowed system again. I can do that. That's what I'm doing here. This is in my main.cpp. And if I run it now, you'll see that it's in a windowed system. Here it is. Here's my window. Notice it's just white. Why is it white? Well, if I go back to this function here, this init function, I can right-click onto it, and I can go to Go to Definition, or F12. You can see that what I'm doing is I've got my title, for the title bar, X position, Y position, height, and width. And then I also have full screen mode, if it's true or not. And I set up the screen and so on. I set up the flags. If it's full screen, then I set SDL window to full screen. That's the flag that I said, an enumeration that sets to 1, right? STL init, I initialize everything like we did last time, and if I scroll down enough, you can see that I'm going to set up my window. Where is it? I missed it. Here it is. My window is right here, right? So I use the STL create window call, the STL call but as I pass in the details from my function, I pass them into this call, and it creates the window size I want, and if I want to make full screen or not. Okay, scrolling down, this draw color, this is why it's white. Look, I set the render draw color, the default background color, to 255, 255, 255, 255, which makes it white. If I change one of these values to say I want to make it yellow, then I would say R and G is 255, and let's say blue is 0, right? If I did that and press save and run it, now it'll be a yellow screen, right? There it is. And ugly yellow it is, right? So we can go back. So that's what it does. It just sets the background color. So the default background color I've set is white. You can make it black. Some people prefer black or gray. It's up to you, right? This is just something that's in the background. Let's keep it white for our example today. By the way, if you wanted to change this and you wanted to set the background color to a unique color, you could override the init function and make another init function that asks you for the background color. You can also set the background color later on through a setter if you really want it to go there. There's lots of things we can do, but we're not making a game engine. We're only making a game. So we're not doing that stuff. All right? All right, so cool. We've done all this stuff. That's what this stuff does. And we have our clear window. Are you with me? Is your window white? Yes? Anyone have a weird other window? Like, I don't know, is it like still showing the game somehow, right? If it is, that means you haven't commented things out. Sometimes we ran into some problems this morning in the earlier session where, for whatever reason, things weren't unzipped properly from last week or whatever, and certain people had to clean the solution, build the solution again, then run the solution, and then everything was okay, right? They got some really weird errors. So if you have that, again, if you want to do that, you can go to build, clean solution. That'll clean up and remove all the files. And then you can build solution afterwards. And what that'll do is it'll rebuild from scratch. So it'll remove everything. And then you can simply just run this again, and it'll be fine. Okay? So that's where we're at right now. What I want to do now is I want to implement this new game object called the target. Okay? Yes?
I tried retargeting my
hundreds of errors. Okay. Okay, are you looking at, so your debug x86, right? That's where you're at, debug x86. All right, that's the first thing you have to do, retarget your solution. And then the hundreds of errors, what do they say?
It's all not library function.
Where did you get your files from? Was it from last week's files that you had, or
Downloaded them?
you downloaded it from GitHub?
Yes.
So that stuff is missing the DLLs, remember? So if you download it from GitHub, here, let me show you. So that's a good question. People are having the same problem. I'm sure other people have the same thing. So the problem with it is that when you download from GitHub, let's just do it together. So I go up to GitHub. Here's GitHub. If I download this thing, and so I download zip, and let's put it on my desktop. Let's say as an example, here's my desktop. It's gonna get messy pretty soon, but let's just do it. All right, so here's my zip file from GitHub. And if when it's finished doing, if I extract this thing, so again, if I kind of open it up, nicely. Okay, how about we show in folder? I don't know. It's not going to do what it's supposed to do. Where is it? Just want to make sure I got the right folder for you guys, and here it is. So here's my folder. This is my zip folder, and I can right-click onto it and go. I use 7-zip. I find that's more reliable than RAR. If you're using RAR or something else, or Windows Zip, Windows compression, don't do that. Please use 7-zip. You can download it for free. And then I can go here to extract to GAME3001. right? And when I do that, I have another folder. So now it's not the compressed version. Make sure it's not this one. And just get rid of it to make sure. So delete. So now that I have this one, notice that there's a difference between this folder and this folder. Take a look. You tell me what the difference is between one and the other. What's missing? So we have assets, include, no include, right? It's here, right? Bin, no bin, right? So what's in the bin folder? Debug, all this, right? That's what you need. Without this, you're not going to get it. And you can get this from the zip file that I have up on Blackboard from week 1, right? So if you get that, if I wanted to make this functional, I literally would just copy and paste my bin folder across. So copy this one, because unfortunately GitHub did not keep that. Copy this one, this bin file. I put it over here, paste it. There's my pasting. And now I have my bin file, and that should do it. If I put my bin file over here, it'll know everything, where everything is. And if I double click on this, I'm just using the stuff I just downloaded, right? I've got another instance of Visual Studio running now. 2 things I got to do. I got to change my debug to x86, not x64. The first thing I got to do. And then in my Solution Explorer, I'm going to go into my right-click on Solution and click Retarget Solution. I'm going to choose the latest version that I'm using and press OK, which should fix my solution. It's going to upgrade the project template to whatever I want. And then, if everything goes well, I should be able just to press play and the project should run. Let's take a look. So if you ran into that problem where it was having hundreds of errors, then now you don't have problems like that anymore. If you follow those steps, you'll be good. All right? So where did I get this folder, this bin folder? Well, up on Blackboard, if you look on Blackboard from last week, so I'm here on Blackboard. If I look at content from week 1, here's week 1. And look there is a SDL v2. If you download this thing, it has the bin folder. All right? And just drag and drop the bin folder over from one side to the other, or copy paste, whatever you want. All right? That's where it is. That should set everyone up. Okay? Yes? He has to retarget his solution. And what the hell, man? All right. Bear with me. I'll stop recording now, and then I'll come back for people who are watching, just to make sure everyone's on the same page. They can do this part, and we'll come back. Okay? So I'm just going to stop recording now, and we'll come back and continue. And maybe